Discover the depths of faith beyond the pews. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of More Than a Sunday. We're starting episode 2 of our Numbers series, and I'm so excited because I'm here with my good friends, Jazmyn and Michelle Perez. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we're excited.
So we're talking about Numbers. So the book of Numbers in the Old Testament actually covers 2 different generations. The first generation escaped Egypt in the Exodus, and then the second generation was born after that. And so we see how these 2 generations just move differently, work differently, act differently, but throughout it's the same God. And that applies to us today. We are in so many different generations, but God applies to all of us. Jesus can relate to all of us. And so I'm in Gen Z. My friend Jazmyn is in Gen Z, but kind of on the other end of Gen Z. And then Michelle is a millennial.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm glad to be here.
So today our hope is that we will highlight some differences in how generations view the world, how they view God, how they view the church, how they view just random everyday life, but also some similarities on how Jesus can relate to all of us, and maybe we're a little bit more similar than any of us think. So I'm excited. We're going to jump right in with kind of a lightning round of questions. Are y'all ready?
I think so.
Well, you helped pick out the questions, so I feel good about asking you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go for it. Jazmyn, what is your favorite song or musical artist?
Ooh, I feel like that's really hard. I listen to a lot of music, so it's like if I had to narrow it down, I'd probably listen to a lot of Elevation Rhythm. I really like them. I also like Lauren Daigle a lot. She's really good. Her Look Up Child album, amazing.
So when do you listen to music?
Usually when I'm doing my homework, I like something to like really reel me in.
Yeah, something on in the background.
Yeah.
Cool.
Something like that.
What about you, Michelle?
Man, I'd have to say, like, there's a tie right now. I've been jamming to At the Altar by Tiffany Hudson.
Ooh.
She is a go-to, just like worship friend. I call her a worship friend.
Yeah.
And then I would say, that's not funny.
She's like she knows her.
Well,
best friends.
I know her in a worship sense. Yeah, and then I would say I'm loving Abandoned by William Hastings right now. And then I got to get down to Forrest Frank. He really helps me start my day, like just getting hype. So yeah, it was hard to pick one, but there's
Nice.
3.
Forrest Frank.
Yeah.
Do you think that his target audience is millennials? Because I see so many millennials who love Forrest
Really?
Frank. Yeah.
I thought like young people listen to Forrest Frank. That's why I was like, yeah, I got to get on this young people train.
I feel like maybe he wants young people, and maybe more listen to it. But, I mean, do you listen to it, Jazmyn? Your friends?
Not really.
Oh,
I have
wow.
a small group leader that listens to Forrest Frank a lot, but
Oh.
Shout out to Carly. Carly's actually the one who I feel like got me listening to.
Yeah.
He actually
'Cause
has
she
some.
loves it.
Yeah, he's got some good ones that are like they're intermixed with hymns, and he turns it into hip hop, and I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Yeah.
Dope.
So, thanks for throwing the dope in there. So, yeah, I feel like a lot of millennials listen to it, but maybe it's both. Maybe it's a crossover. You just do not like him, do you, Jazmyn?
I don't not like him. I just don't really listen to him.
Okay, I got you. All right. What is the best movie or show you've ever seen?
I like the Hunger Games series. I like the action, the kind of, pedo, whatever the other guy name was. Like, there's definitely like a, yeah.
Yeah.
You like the Hunger Games, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our family likes to watch that sometimes. It's a little intense. It's an intense series, especially the movie. Oh man, my top favorite movie is Collateral Beauty.
What?
I don't know if you've ever seen it. Every time I mention it, people act like they don't know where it's from or they've never seen it before. It's a very deep, I think, good movie, but I also am down with The Patriot. That's like an all-time one. That's just like, that's a good movie.
Okay.
You know, fighting for your family and your freedom and yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, sorry I can't just give you one each time. It's probably going to be a trend.
No, that's okay.
Is
Let's
that a
go
millennial thing?
back. So what year, do you know what year The Patriot came out?
I do not.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you.
I've never seen that movie.
You've never seen Mel Gibson?
Either one.
Wow. Heath Ledger.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, this has to be
Patriot.
Have you heard of it? You've seen it because she's your mom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should probably share that. So
Yeah.
Jazmyn is Michelle's daughter,
We're related.
and Michelle's millennial. Jazmyn is Gen Z.
Yeah.
All right. What is your goal in life?
Oh, I have to think about that.
Okay. Man, right off the top of my head, I would say that my goal in life is, to be a follower of Jesus, to please him, but also to carry that on to other people. I think a lot of times we spend a lot of time, like our goal in life is to serve the Lord, but in doing that, it's telling others, spreading the gospel. I would say that's my goal. And then obviously just being a good mom and a good spouse and friend. Yeah.
Yeah, probably the same. Definitely being a disciple. Also, a big goal of mine is to be a good example for others around me, like just to share the light. And I want people to ask why I'm so happy or I'm so nice. And it's because of like the Lord and what he's done for me, and also be successful in the future, like do what God has called me to do with my career and with my family. So, yeah.
Do you feel like, because, there's a lot of people in our generation that are influencers. Do you feel like it's possible to be an influencer for Jesus?
I do. I think I follow a lot of them, and they do a very good job on not only relating to you in a regular basis, but also relating to you in a Christian basis and reminding you that everyone's going through the same things and everyone's looking for that purpose. And the purpose is to live for God. And it's just a great reminder sometimes in the morning when I'm like struggling and they're going through the same things as me, but they're adding a little bit of Christ each in their day. So
I feel like our life goals are pretty similar. And something I've been kind of wrestling through recently through social media has been, okay, social media in moderation is okay. I think a lot of people are addicted to it. And
for sure.
It can go overboard and lead to all of those horrible things.
Yeah.
And we all know. We've been there. We know it messes with our mental health tragically. But I've just been wrestling through, could someone be an influencer for Jesus? Is it possible to bring light to a pretty dark platform like Instagram or TikTok or something like that? But it's just been something I've been wrestling through. What does influencing look like for someone in Gen Z? So I'm happy to hear that there's some hope there.
Yeah.
That's really good. Jazmyn, how much should gas cost?
How much should it cost?
Yeah.
I think, honestly, when I was thinking about this question, I was thinking $0.
Whoa.
I mean, like, we're doing these things. We're going to work. We're going to school. You think I should pay to go to school? No. I think that's ridiculous. I think that we should at least get a budget. The government can give us a budget of like $40 a week. I'll be good. I'll be set.
Where should the government get the money for the gas?
That's not a me question. All I know is it should be not a lot of money. Maybe, fine, 50 cents, like something like that.
Something small. All right, what do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I stick with 99 cents. Like the best days of my life was when in my Honda Civic driving to Bible school, and it was 99 cents a gallon back in 2001 or 2. And I just remember thinking like, man, gas only being 99 cents. I'm living the life. So yeah, I want to go back to 99 cents. Just keep it there. Do whatever you have to do to keep it at 99 cents.
I think I was born in at like a little over $3.
Really?
Yeah. So that was a while back. I've never heard of gas being 99 cents, but that's super cool.
Dallas, Texas.
You knew it too. You were like, this is the glory
man.
days.
I could fill up my Civic for like $7.
Wow.
That's a stretch, but I just remember I probably only had $10 in my bank account that day. So I was like, yes.
Wow, that's super
Anyways,
cool.
yeah.
What was your favorite candy growing up?
Oh, mine was definitely Snickers. I loved Snickers.
Okay, Snickers.
Reese's Pieces, for sure. Yeah.
All right. What was the form of social media you used growing up?
Well, I'm still growing up.
You're still growing up, by the way.
I think I use a lot of Snapchat. A lot of people in my generation, that's how like we all communicate with each other.
This is wild to me. So we're in the same generation. I do not experience the same things.
Wow.
Because I know that you guys use Snapchat for everything. Like,
yes.
You won't even text people. You'll just snap them, right?
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you sent a text message to a friend?
Like, before I came here. I mean, we can snap and text.
But are you talking about the same thing or different conversations? Texting and snapping at the same time? Fill me in. I don't even have Snapchat. I'm so confused.
You don't
by
have
this.
Snapchat.
I don't have Snapchat. I'm confused.
You could have a conversation snapping people. Like sometimes I'll have a conversation snapping people, but most of the time if I need like help on homework, I'll be like, hey, and I'll just text them. I'll be like, hey, can you help me with this? But you could also have a conversation on Snap, like, look where I am. Then they're like, oh, where are you? Or, you know.
So then, but also explain to me the streaks. Because I get the streaks if it's like what you're doing with
You
your
don't
day.
even know,
But
Allie.
okay, I've been seeing pictures of ceiling fans. What is that? Because it's like just to keep up a streak. You want to send like.
They don't even take a picture of their face.
Okay,
It's
most
literally-
people
Can
do,
you
but the weird
explain?
people will like.
I'm so confused.
So
I know.
I think that streaks are dumb. I think as I got older, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't really keep streaks. I'm not like, oh no, I need to send my streak. But a lot of people use it. I don't know to just. I don't even know.
Just, like,
Honestly, streaks are like,
It makes sense if it's like, look what I'm doing
yeah.
right now. You know.
But some people just keep streaks because of like the numbers, because it'll tell you on like the line, like how long you and that person like
And
snap
throw
that
back
person each
to
day.
when you were like, when you and Addie were younger. And
Addie being Jasmine's older
yes,
sister.
Addie is the oldest. And if they got their phones taken away,
Yeah.
they would be like if they were grounded for a week from their phone, every day they'd be like, really quick, can I get my phone so I can do my streaks? I don't want
Yeah,
to
it's
lose my
really
streaks.
important.
Or
And I
people
was
would
like,
ask
"What
their
in the
friends. So
world?"
like
Okay.
if someone got their phone taken, they would ask their friends to like log in and like send
so
their streaks
funny.
for them.
Has anyone ever lost a friendship over losing the streak?
I have no idea. I haven't.
Like, does it go that far? Is
I don't
it
think
that
so.
important?
I think it's more important when it first came out, like Snapchat streaks were like very important. I don't think they're as popular anymore, but I know people still do keep them. But I
And
don't think
sometimes
it's like
literally like a picture of the floor and you have no
yeah,
idea what you're
it's
looking at.
or it's like a black screen and someone will draw like an S on it. Like it's so weird
For streak.
for streak.
Okay, creative.
And also, for the record, Jazmyn had to do a slideshow presentation to present why she should have Snapchat. I don't remember, were you like 14 or 15? Because
to.
they still
Okay.
didn't have it. And she did a Google slideshow of
Why?
why she should be allowed to have Snapchat.
Okay, so mainly Snapchat. Instagram has to be a second for Gen Z, right? I would say some people have Facebook, but it's pretty rare. If you have
Yeah.
Facebook in our generation, I feel like it's maybe to keep up with your family,
Yeah.
and that's about it. TikTok is probably huge after COVID, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that's big for Gen Z?
Oh, I don't.
That's
I feel like those are like the top three, like Snapchat.
Do you go on
TikTok,
YouTube
Instagram.
Shorts?
I do not.
Mm.
Don't
Do
really
you-
watch YouTube.
Is Be Real, was that a no?
There and then gone thing?
Yeah, I think it was like a there and then gone. Like it was popular and then it was just nothing.
You guys do Threads? I have not joined the Threads life, but I see it often.
I'm there and then I was gone.
What's
Like,
a thread?
It was like Twitter. It's hooked up to Instagram.
Yeah,
Kind of built in.
Oh.
yeah.
It's like Twitter. It's like just short text,
Hmm.
which Gen Z typically doesn't have Twitter, I would say. Or would you disagree?
I feel like some people have Twitter. I don't have Twitter.
Okay.
But
Michelle, what?
Is it called Twitter anymore?
X?
no, yeah, they changed it.
Yeah. What
Listen.
social media did you have growing up?
I did not have social media until high school.
Okay.
And that wasn't even social media. That was AOL. Shout out to all my AOL friends where you would do AOL Messenger.
Okay.
Anybody? You heard of it? No?
Okay.
And then it turned into and then there was MySpace. I had finally jumped into the MySpace era, and it was awesome. I mean, it was better than Facebook before Facebook came out. You could put your own, like, you had a profile page that you would go to, your MySpace page, and it would have, like, you could pick a song that would play when people went to your
Instagram
page.
just added that.
Yeah.
I heard that it was inspired by
It was,
MySpace.
yeah, it was awesome. You pick your backgrounds, and then all of a sudden Facebook came out, and everybody joined Facebook, and I boycotted it because I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
And then MySpace disappeared. So yeah, I think I joined Facebook maybe in like 2000. I think it was right around when I had you. I waited for a little bit.
Yeah. So AOL was your first. So
Yeah.
I think I did hear of that. I heard from in our last episode, I was talking to Andy Schultz. He's a millennial, and he was like, AOL was where it was, bro. Like,
it would be like, what's your name? What's your hair color? Like, guys would reach out to you, and you'd be like, who are you?
That's crazy.
But yeah, that was pretty much it, and that was in high school. Okay. And I didn't get a phone till I was a senior in high school, which is 2000. So, like a cell phone.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't even, there wasn't anything on the phones by then. Because I'm old.
You're not old. You're just older than us.
I'm older than you. That's right.
If you wanted to fit in growing up, what did you need to have?
I feel like this is hard.
Man, I'm gonna take this one because I remember I always wanted. This was younger, right? When you played sports, it was probably elementary. There was these shoes called LA Gears.
Okay.
And half of you probably don't even know what I'm saying right now, but they were sparkly laces. They were like Jordans at Kmart. They were like Kmart Jordans.
Yeah.
So they were called LA Gears, and if you had LA Gears, you were spicy. You were good to go.
You were good.
Yeah.
You were in the cool friend
Let's
group.
say that. Yeah. And then older, it was like the whole Lucky Brand jeans, Doc Martens, and then the Birkenstocks came out.
So shoes.
North Face backpack.
Okay.
You know, like those were things that showed that you were, happening or had money, I guess.
Lots of shoes, though, you mentioned. Doc Martens, Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so interesting because I think Gen Z also values shoes, but I think that it's starting to be a little bit less geared towards brands because we got into thrifting.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's
like
really true.
A lot of thrifting, and then it doesn't matter where you got it.
Yeah.
It's just, it looks cool, and that's what I'm wearing,
Or do you think like influencers wise?
Maybe that.
Because sometimes I look at somebody and they said, oh, I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that could be it too. What was a cool thing you just had to have if you wanted to fit in growing up?
I can't really think of like one thing. I feel like my generation, we have new things every time. And if you have it, then you're cool. And then if you don't, it's like, why didn't you get them? Why aren't you part of the whole trend? I think right now, when I went back to school, everyone had on Sambas or Gazelle Adidas. Everyone had them on. I think that was like a big one in like August.
It's so funny that it's still shoes.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's the same style of shoes. Like when I took her to the store to go look for them, I'm like, I remember wearing these in high school.
Wow.
And they're the same type of shoe.
Yeah.
And and it just repeats itself. It's like Converse, Vans, it goes through the trickle and you're like, man, these shoes, they probably just pulled these out of an old warehouse that they didn't sell in the 90s. And
So
they're
what I'm
like, these are
hearing
cool again.
Yeah, I'm hearing don't get rid of your shoes.
Yeah,
because
probably.
They're probably going to come back into style.
Yeah.
For me growing up, it was less of like things that you were wearing personally. It was more your house. It was like, oh, we're going to so-and-so's house. And I'd be like, and then they'd be like, oh no, they got a basement. And then like at the basement, they had like a TV with like a couch or whatever.
Things.
And if you had a basement with a TV in there, it was like, no, you want to come.
Place to
they got a
be.
basement.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Basement with the TV.
yeah, because
That's
it was
funny.
like, that was a cool place to hang out,
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
must
Like
be
a lot
high
of people have TVs in their basements now.
I know, it's so common because that was a thing to have. So now everybody has one, I feel. All right,
That's
let's
funny.
talk a little bit about lingo. We got to cover this base now. What's some lingo that
I'm not excited.
it belongs to your generation? No one said it until your generation came along.
Okay, I'm gonna start with one. I feel like a lot of people say Riz. That was a big thing, and I know you know what that is because you have nephews and nieces. But
Yeah, one of my nephew's nickname actually is Riz. We
Is
call him
it?
Riz. Yeah, but it was before this whole trend
oh
happened.
yeah,
It was a long time ago. But now Riz means what, Michelle?
Man, how are you going to put me on the spot like that?
I'm sorry.
They did that whole like TikTok
wanted
where they
to
quizzed
see.
Chris and I on all these.
Do you know?
I don't remember. I think it's like you're cool, you're like stylish, you're wanted, No, I'm wrong.
you don't remember?
I have a horrible
We were
memory.
talking about this yesterday.
It's kind of like swag, I think.
Yeah.
Is
that not what I just said?
Like I'm gonna go Riz her up means like I'm
Oh.
gonna go like
Zhuzh, like
Yeah.
schmooze.
Yeah.
schmooze her
Schmooze
up.
is the millennial. Maybe that's not a millennial. I'm an old-fashioned millennial for sure.
Yeah, so Riz is a big
Riz.
one.
Riz.
I feel like every time I learn y'all's talking words, you change them.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
was
quick.
all about lit. I was saying things, and then y'all just changed it on me.
It's really quick.
I'm just saying. I mean,
I can't keep up though.
yeah,
too.
but I will always use the bomb. Like that's the bomb. In my world, that phrase will never, because it's just like it's so cool. That's the bomb. And then of course I remember everyone said your mom when I was in high school.
Like anything was said, and it was like your mom.
Your mom.
And that was like the end all be all. Like,
Yeah. And it was just your response to bullying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't go well. 'Cause,
Yeah.
You know, not everyone's situation is the same. And that can be a hurtful thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't say that anymore. Ever.
Just kidding. What else from Gen Z?
I don't know. I feel like you have to help me. Like I feel like my friends' lingo is just like to our group.
a lot of influencers say like OOTD.
Oh yes.
And some people don't
yes,
know what that means.
What does that mean?
Outfit of the day. So if you're like, I'm gonna show off my OOTD.
See?
Outfit of the day.
Well, why can't? But
OOTD.
OTD is like that sounds like a
OTD.
delivery term. Like you have a delivery.
It just came from a trend, or like I remember when Throwback Thursday was a huge thing. I remember in high school
Throwback
when your
Thursday.
crush would post a picture of you on their social media and put Woman Crush Wednesday, WCW.
They did that?
And they
Oh my
would put
goodness.
a picture of you. So like whatever guy, like right now, like Colton would post a picture of just me, not even with him, just a picture of me and put hashtag Woman Crush Wednesday.
What if you didn't
That
know?
happened all the time.
It would just be you, and you'd
All
be
the
like,
time. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm someone's crush. It was wild. It was a crazy trend.
Oh my gosh! The
That's
only days of the week,
insane.
days of week references I know of are Taco Tuesday.
Okay, Taco Tuesday or like Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah. What's some other lingo? I say a lot. This is not necessarily Gen Z, but I always say sick.
Really?
That's
I
like
always say that.
I always say that. I don't think that's a Gen Z though. I think that's just
Yeah.
me being me.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people say bro.
Bro.
Everyone says
Guilty.
bro or bruh or someone with a B, brother.
I've been working
Everything.
on that.
Brother. Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
like
you
that.
guys do say that.
Oh, brother.
All right. Well, y'all passed the lighthearted round, that quick lightning round. How you doing? Feeling good?
Yeah.
Ready to go a little further? These are a little bit more conversational, a little deeper, but we're feeling good. All right, cool. Let's do it. What is the biggest struggle you face daily?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go first.
I thought about this a little bit, and I think the two things, because I don't give just one answer. I would say performance and people pleasing. I definitely feel like if I'm not focusing on just like pleasing the Lord and doing what He's leading me to do that day, I can easily fall into the trap of doing what I think people want me to do, and then also just. I think there's a difference between, giving your best and excellence towards the Lord and then trying to make people proud of you and perform in such a way that I don't know that glorifies the Lord if I'm not doing it as unto Him.
Yeah.
So I would say those two things, just, people pleasing and being a performance driven,
Yeah. It's hard.
I think mine's really basic, but I struggle a lot with patience, like in driving, in school. I'm not like mean about it. Like I'm not gonna be like you're too slow or like whatever, but I do struggle with patience a lot.
Yeah. Do
like
you
a big
think,
thing.
this is just a thought, you can disagree.
Okay.
Do you think that might have to do with your attention span?
Probably.
I mean, struggling with patience is probably pretty common across all generations, but I feel like we live in a very fast-paced culture
Yeah.
with a shorter and shorter and shorter attention span, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe. Or it's like it's driven from something else, right?
Yeah.
Your patience is because you're stressed. You're stressed because of your workload or your busy schedule. You know what I mean? Because if you sit down and think about it, maybe we could have more patience, but there's things that are making us impatient.
Yeah.
Still taking responsibility for not having patience, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's like the root cause?
Yeah.
So Jazmyn, how do you relate to your mom's struggle? Like, you heard what she said about people pleasing and that type of performance driven work, stuff like that. Do you feel like you struggle with that sometimes too?
I do. I feel that I often look for other people's approval in a lot of things that I do. And it's very much still, I bet a lot of people my age still do that. We always look for someone to give us that like words of affirmation, like, yeah, like you're right, you're doing this great. So definitely I would relate to Michelle. Mom. I said mom.
Yeah.
All right. What is the best thing about being young?
I don't know. I'm so young, so I feel like I don't know what it is.
What's the best thing about being you?
I think not having to pay any bills.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. And like
so
take
glad you
care of
recognize
people. You guys have to take care of so many people. Well, not yet.
Not
But
Allie.
I think I would, like, having to, the way you just like know everything. Like, not know everything, because
Wow.
no, not like that.
I'm gonna cry.
Not know
sweet of you to
everything.
Do you
say
have any
Jazmyn.
tissues?
But how you're always like on time to pick us up, or like all the things you have to remember in order to help us out. I think that would be.
Can I tell a sweet story real quick?
Yeah.
So a while back, a few months ago, Jazmyn and I did Whole30 together.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this crazy challenge type thing. We were showing up at the gym every day, working out, Whole30, kept each other accountable.
Yeah.
It was great. I remember like a weekend, I was like, I'm dying. I can't do this anymore. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to buy at the grocery store. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is horrible. I don't know if I can do it. And I was like, Jazmyn, are you feeling the same way? And she's like, yeah, I struggle here and there. And I'm like, this is so hard. And she goes, yeah, I mean, my mom's just been like killing it in the kitchen. So, and I explained to her how that is huge, that she comes home and you're like making a meal for your family, and how different it was for me, like, you know, having to plan out meals and go get groceries and do all of that. It was really cool. I mean, you really recognized how your mom was there for you.
Yeah, she does a
Really
lot.
sweet.
That was really sweet.
Yeah, that was great. All right, what about you, Michelle?
Well, since I am still young, let me
You are
tell you about
young.
the benefits of being me right now. What's the question again?
What's the best part about being young?
Man, I would say that I think you haven't lived a ton of hard life. And so I would say, man, the younger me was a little bit more hopeful, more risk taking. Just not afraid of anything, really. Just a lightheartedness, I would say.
Yeah.
Because a little bit of life hits you, and man, you can be like a child, especially like as a believer and following the Lord. He restores hope, he restores healing and peace and joy, for sure. But as a young person, I just was like, man, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to do all these things. And so that's why I say that lighthearted, like childlike faith. I feel you got to work a little bit harder as an adult to keep that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what I would. Yeah. What do you? What do you think is?
I love that, like living free, like that extra pep, and I love life experiences because I can gain wisdom, right? But at the same time, I know that I am so blessed to have avoided certain things in life, and I see my peers who have gone through those things, and I'm like, man, I'm so thankful that I haven't had to go through something like that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see the wear and tear it has on you mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
So to not have to go through that, I'm so thankful, because I feel like I have a little less of that wear and tear, that impact, that, you know, just being down. I do love being able to look back and reflect on the blessings of what the Lord has protected me from.
Yeah, for sure.
Being this young.
Yeah.
How have your life experiences shaped who you are?
You got this.
I think having siblings has definitely shaped who I am. I have an older sister and I have a younger sister. So I definitely get the both of like looking up to someone and learning from their mistakes, and also as in like being that responsible one and being the oldest one. So I think that has definitely changed the way I look at things, because I have an older sister, and sometimes when things she does and I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I know not to do that, and I know that I need to learn from this. Or sometimes she'll be like super successful in this area, and I'm like, wow, like I want to be like her.
Yeah.
I want to do the things she does. I look up to my older sister a lot, so definitely that has been a big impact on my life.
As far as experiences, that has shaped me.
Have you had a lot of experiences that have shaped you?
How much time do we have is the question. Well, I just wasted like 10 seconds.
No, you're okay. How have your experiences shaped you?
Yeah, I think my pause is, you could go negative or you could go positive.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to decide,
Yeah.
do I want to hit the negative? Do I want to hit the positive? Because I think, I think growing up, I didn't focus ever on the negative because went through a lot as a kid, but also had God-fearing, amazing parents who really led the way. And so I think I never really processed the things I went through and the experiences I had, especially before, say, age 15, until I was an adult in my 30s. And so there's a lot of processing that has been going on in the last 5 to 7 years. But I would say, no matter what, like the joy of the Lord has been something that is just, I feel like has been a part of me. And knowing that just, man, as long as I have Christ, as long as I abide in him, that it doesn't matter what tomorrow faces, like I can get through it, right? I can still have joy, and hope. I think hope is not a loss to art, but I think there's a lot of us walking around lacking hope. And no matter what I've been through in my life, hope still remains because I have that faith in Jesus and what he did for me on the cross and rose again, that I'm like, man, that's it. That's the ultimate. Like, and we can easily say, you can take the world from me. You can take all I have. And, Job in the Bible went through all of that. Yeah. And it's no easy task. But I think it's like, man, I hold the greatest treasure that the world could ever know. Yeah. And so all things aside, always going back to that center, that there is struggle, and the Bible talks about it. Like, I think it's John, man, I shouldn't be throwing out books, but the book of John, that in this life there will be trouble, but take heart, I've overcome the world. Is that John? I don't know. Look it up. Yeah. Google it. They'll pull it up. They'll tell you I'm probably wrong. But just knowing that, no matter what our experience is, there is a Savior who has come to pay the price, and so that we can spend eternity with him forever. Amen. And so I think that being aligned all through my life has helped, the outcome and the experiences and how it's shaped me. So it'd have to be Christ that has shaped me, but those traumas and those experiences that I've had that have been bad, I've been able to see light, at the end. Yeah, I love that he's so consistent and not dependent on what we're going through, Yeah, for sure. It's so interesting because I think of Gen Z and I think young adults, I think right now, currently 12 to 27-year-olds are Gen Z. And one day it's going to be, Gen Z, like those older people, those old people up there. Like, and so we're going to be on the other side of so many different life experiences. Sure. And the cool thing is that although we will be different because of all of those experiences, the Lord remains the same. And it's true for even the generations in the book of Numbers. They went through so many different things, but the Lord is the same throughout. That is so interesting to me to think about. That it's kind of a comforting thing, that no matter what we go through, we have a constant in Jesus Christ. The God of Abraham. Yeah. God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, Moses, David. The same God. Yeah. Peter, Michelle, Jazmyn, Allie. What up? Zach. Yeah, so many. Yeah, it's really cool. That's a great comfort to know. Jazmyn, whose opinion matters the most to you right now?
I would love to say God's opinion only matters to me, but I think a lot of the time my friends' opinions matter of me. I value what my friends think about me and if I'm like being a good friend, you know. But I know at like the end of the day when I go up and there's only like one person to judge, like I feel like I always have to remind myself because I constantly want to be like this perfect person that everyone likes and I hate the feeling of like being judged or like, but at the like I just have to keep reminding myself that it's not really like their opinion doesn't really matter, but it's God's.
Yeah.
So
I do feel like you live that out in a lot of ways, or at least I've seen you live that out in a lot of ways where you'll do something or your friends will be doing something and then you'll say I don't feel like this is something I should do or that this is right for me, or you'll come back. I mean, even in music you listen to, you know what I mean? You've come and been like, I thought about what we talked about and I think you're right. I don't think I should be listening to this particular artist. And so I do think that you care about pleasing the Lord. At least I've seen that as your mom.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It's not easy being your age. It's not easy. Dealing with the opinions of others around you and your peers. But at least I see that in your life. You do care about what your friends think, but I do think you always bring it back and say, there's a line I'm drawing here as far as pleasing the Lord and his opinion. And so, yeah, I've seen that in your life.
yeah, and it's so hard because like everyone cares about what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
Like it's just like we're like that's how we grew up, or like my generation is like we care.
Is it a myth that Gen Z cares more about what others think about them? I would love to hear your thoughts too, Michelle, on this. Like, is that because obviously that's a pretty common thing for Gen Z.
I think they like to show that they don't care. Like, I'm going to do me. But deep down, they do.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And so, but I also think I'm the same way.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm just now in my 40s, and I'm just now getting to the point where it's like, I've got to let this go. It's almost a stronghold. It's almost you're not being your true, authentic. And if those things creep in before you're like talking to the Lord about things, then it's like, man, am I living for man? You know what I mean? I'm not even living for myself. I'm not, I'm living to please people or to do, because I care so much.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, I'm just now at the age where I'm processing through what is my motive behind this? Am I trying to please people?
Yeah.
And not even be true to what I feel like, what is the right thing or what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And so
I think it might be a little overstated for Gen Z. Not that Gen Z doesn't compare themselves to others. Yeah. But I think that's less a generational thing and maybe more a humanity thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just curious about it. Yeah. And obviously social media adds a whole other twist on that. But I think maybe it's just more of like a maturity in Christ, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Less of which generation you fall into. So whose opinion matters most to you?
Me, I would definitely say the Lord's. I would say my husband. I find myself a lot of times like, if I'm in a group of people or whatever, if I feel like if I've let him down or if he's disappointed in me, that means a lot to me. 'Cause I just want to be that good half, Yeah. And then, I would say my coworkers and the people around me, their opinion matters to me, especially you invite them, your community, you invite them to walk alongside you. I want to know their opinions and their thoughts and sometimes the hard truth, But I would say God and my girls, of course, but I think they're in their teen years. So I'm like, I don't know if your opinion matters to me right now. Yeah. But like that doesn't mean when they say something, I'm not like,
Right.
She'll like ask us what she should wear, and then she'll go with the opposite.
Yeah. So she's like trying to loop you in, but doesn't really care much.
Or I'm like, do they know all the pieces of the pie? But I'll be like, what should I wear to this? But that's also like the benefits of having daughters, though, too. Is like,
What do you value?
I value school a lot. I value a lot of things, but I think one of my top right now is school.
Yeah.
I take a lot on how well I perform in school because I feel like I'm a very hard worker. I like getting those good grades is like amazing. Like the feeling of getting an A because I worked hard to get that A.
Yeah.
I value that. Grades I value so much. I also value my family a lot. They do come first in everything, other than God, of course, but I value that. I also value friendships a lot. There's just like a bunch of things that tied to like my main values, but those are like the top 3 with God at the top, of course.
Yeah.
God I value above everything else, but yeah.
Yeah. I value being a child of God. I feel like everything trickles down from that. I think right now in the season that I'm in, I value community. I find myself truly just needing to be around people who speak life and encourage and are for me, but that I can also laugh and cry with and have a good time. I know we are, as a people, as humankind, we are built for community.
Yep. Designed for it.
Yeah. But Michelle, this girl right here,
Yep.
I need it like 3 times over. People just, they just ignite me and talking about the Lord or just life. And so, I value community in this season right now, for sure.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. What about you?
I value God's perspective on me, what he thinks of me. So I value that. In people and others, I value humility, honesty, integrity, those core values. I think those are really important. And the more I am around people, I notice very quickly that that's something that I value in people.
Honesty's a tough one.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I mean?
sometimes it's horrible,
Yeah.
but it's important.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's harder than just quickly telling a little lie or something that might be like a statement that might be rooted in a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You've made it to the final round. Are you all ready?
Dun, 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 dun.
We're going there. We're getting deep, okay?
going there.
We're going to be vulnerable and it's going to be all right. We're going to have 3 more questions. Are y'all ready?
Yeah, this has been fun.
Sweet. Thanks
Been
for
working through,
chugging through. All right. What is your biggest regret in life?
I would have to say, why are you laughing?
We got a chuckle.
Only because that when you said I would have to say, it makes me think of Miss Congeniality, where he's like, what's your idea of a perfect date? And she's like, I would have to say April 25th or whatever, because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light sweater.
Yes.
So when you said that, I just immediately, and so I apologize.
Well, thanks for interrupting.
That's a great movie, though. That's funny.
That's a good movie.
All right.
What was the question?
What is your biggest regret in life?
My biggest regret. I think not doing something because other people will think it's like weird or someone's holding me back. I think I don't do a lot of the things I want to do because I am scared someone will be like, oh, like, why is she doing that?
Yeah.
And then I'll regret it in the ending because it's like, well, I wanted to do that. I wanted to experience that. Sometimes I just don't do it because of other people. And I think like that really holds me back from doing something I like really want to, I love or really want to do.
Could you give me an example?
I can't think of one like right off the top of my head. Probably like
You don't have to.
I don't really have anything in my head right now.
Remember that one time?
Yes.
That one time.
I remember.
Is there no time? What was that?
I'm just trying to help her out. I'm just trying to buy her like some time.
Is there anything just overall you're saying like not doing something that you want to do or could be really good at because it's not the cool thing to do according to your close circle of friends?
Or I'm scared if I try something new and I won't be good at it.
Yeah.
Then like
So, like,
that's
fear.
embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah.
Fear. So letting fear hold you back.
Yes.
Biggest regret. So what would you say to someone who maybe feels like they're drowning in fear right now?
I would say it could end up being like your most favorite thing. So if you don't want to try something because someone else doesn't, or you're scared of someone else's opinion, I would just say do it anyway, because failure is the key to everything. If you never fail, then you'll never know what works for you or what you like. So it's important to try new things, because you'll keep searching till you find that one thing that like you really, really like. So I would say just keep going, and really it's no one else. Like, it doesn't matter if someone else doesn't like it. It's what you like. So yeah.
Thank you. Proud of you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. For me?
Yeah. What is your biggest regret in life?
Oof. Again, how much time do we have? That joke's getting old. I'm sorry.
Very good.
Biggest regret. I think one of the things when I look back as I was younger, I regret not going after those like hardcore gut dreams that I had. But I think as I think about it, I didn't have the confidence to run after them or the tools.
Okay.
I feel like as far as like somebody in my life to guide me in that way of like, man, just run after it like hard, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a dream that the Lord has placed inside of me. And so that would be probably my biggest regret, is not, running after the things that I really feel like the Lord put in me, right?
Yeah.
Or especially at that young adult age. And then I think another regret is not including the Lord in my plans. There's been times in my life where, man, I love Jesus. I know I'm serving him, but I got the idea of what Michelle needed to go do. And then I did it in my own power, in my own timing, in my own way, and had to learn hard lessons. And so the older I get, the more I run to the Lord to seek him on things, especially because I'm an ideas person. I'm like, we could do this and we could do this, and how about this? And it's like, I got to bring all those back to the Lord and be like, man, is this you? Is this your spirit leading me to do these things? Because I know it's in Proverbs. It talks about many are our plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's that will prevail. And so what is the road in which we get to his plans for our life? So yeah.
And I think that timing, like when you bring him in, like, are you asking him right off the bat, or is it later on you're like, oh yeah, and by the way, I've decided to quit my job and move to a different country.
Right.
When, at what point?
When you're in trouble or when you're in
Yeah.
doubt, you're like, okay, God, I'm so sorry. I've been doing all of this without you. I should have, and as a mom having daughters that are getting to the age where they're in that adult age and they're getting there, it's like, hey, you can have these great plans and these great dreams for yourself, and the Lord may be stirring you in those directions, but just don't forget to include him.
Yep.
Because
Early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also know that God in his grace and his faithfulness and his mercy will help you find your way. He's not like, if you don't do it this way,
Then I'm done.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, if you look throughout the Bible, knucklehead after knucklehead.
Yeah, talk about the book of Numbers.
And for those Gen Zers, a knucklehead is like, I don't know, you're not like, you're just not the smartest, maybe. You're a fool in a way. A knucklehead is a fool.
Not the sharpest
Yeah.
tool in the shed.
And so, yeah, it's like the Lord, he makes a way for his people, for his children. And so, yeah.
Even when we look at the disciples, right? Like, you don't look at any of them and you're like, yep, makes sense. That's why you're like, what? Them? Those people? Those people that are just fishermen who didn't make the cut?
Stubborn.
Becoming a rabbi?
Doubtful.
Yeah.
Hot-headed.
A lot of things that we can relate to.
Yeah.
For sure. Jazmyn, what's the hardest part of your life? Hardest part.
Don't even say chores, young lady. Just kidding.
Probably doing the dishes.
Amen. Me too. That is not a generational
Hardest
thing.
part.
The
Across
hardest
the board.
part. I think probably
This part right here.
doing this podcast is actually the hardest thing I've ever done. I think God wants us to be like this light for other people, and I think that it's hard for me sometimes to like I get down on myself when I don't react how God would react. And I think that he just wants us to make disciples and to share what he's done for everyone, and the people that are looking for a purpose, like he wants us to help them find that purpose. And I think the hardest part is being able to open freely and like let them know like there's a God out there that loves you and wants to take care of you. And I think that's so hard for me because I want to help all these people and let them know that there's like a savior that loves them and is here for them. But I just like sometimes I get like shy, or like what if they don't want me to say that? Like what if I don't really know what my purpose is. Like I struggle sometimes on what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. I think a lot about what God wants me to do. Like I'm like, okay, God, like what do you want me to do? But then I'm just like waiting. And then I'm scared that what if I don't do what he's calling me to do? And it's like what did I do for him if I didn't like fulfill his plan for me?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the hardest parts, is just like what is my purpose for God? Because I want to do the right thing, obviously.
For sure.
But
I think that's super relatable. I think
Absolutely.
a lot of people feel the same exact way. And I heard mixed in there that same thing of like, you're saying that your biggest regret is letting that fear like stop you from doing what you know that you're supposed to do. So I hear that throughout, and it's probably something that is very, very, very common. But maybe as you begin to like work through that fear, you'll find a little bit more about what the Lord wants to do through you, which is really exciting.
I think a lot of times too, we think we need to know that plan way long in advance and every step, versus like, man, just that next step of obedience.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it matters what age you are. You're still trying to remind yourself, to walk in obedience to God. And so focusing on, because if we have these plans for the future, we could be missing out on being present in what the Lord's calling us to today.
Yeah.
And
it could be, if we look that far ahead, we can make it so complex.
Oh, for sure.
Like how many times do we miss just the simple truth because we're focused on the bigger, grander, more complex story, when the Lord's like, I just wanted you to tell them that I love them.
Yes.
Like that's it. It wasn't
Yeah.
complicated, So I think sometimes we can get more in our head and what and we can over
For sure.
complicate things.
Well, and
the
then
Lord
10 years go by and you're like, oh man, I've been trying to look forward for but what happened in this last 10 years? That has kingdom impact, or, Yeah, that's really good. That's a good point. Yeah.
Michelle, what's the hardest part of your life?
Hardest part of my life. I would say embracing and living loved, truly loved by God. Embracing his love for me, his deep love, just the love so deep that it changes me within. So on a daily. And then I would just say, just that forgiving. Hardest part of life, I think, is truly forgiving, because I can pray like, man, Lord, I forgive them, but you also, what's going on inside. And so sometimes I feel like that comes between me and my time with the Lord, or, just why does this keep coming up? And so, I would say the hardest thing for me is every day living loved by God, and then just continuing to forgive so that he can forgive me for the things that I do and the wacky one I am.
I think that's super relatable too. I would say for me, the hardest part of my life is somewhere along the way when I was younger, I just really thought that I had to do a bunch of things for Christ. And that was like woven into my entire relationship with the Lord. So in recent years, I've been trying to unwind that. It's similar to what you're saying here, making sure that I know that I am a whole person in Jesus Christ. And it's not
Yes.
about what I'm doing.
Yes.
It's not about how good I perform. It's not about all of these things that I can get caught up in. It's no, you're accepted and you're loved,
Yeah.
period. So that's been a huge thing. And it also, I think, is bound inside of our culture. Like so many
for
times
sure.
it's like, oh, do you know that person? Yeah, they did
Influences.
this. Well, what about, do you know that person? He is a man of God. You know, like we talk more about what people do and less about
Yeah.
who they are. And so that's really hard for me. is
Oh, say
unwinding
that again.
I said
Woo!
we talk more about what people do and less about who they
Yes.
are. And that's really sad. That's
It
really
is sad.
hard to grow up in a culture like that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are you going to do? Well, you're not called to build the kingdom. You were
Yeah.
called to build for it, but God will use you to do this. You don't take all that pressure on.
Yeah.
So that's been relieving over the past few years, just to try to unwind that a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
deep in there.
It really is.
It's deep.
And if you're reminded every day from
Yeah.
culture and the everyday life, I mean, can you imagine what would take place in a room where if people asked, like, who are you versus like, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Oh.
it's like, oh man, can you imagine the conversations
Yeah.
and the stories that would take place? I mean, that's something that Gen Z could change, right?
For
It's not
sure.
about, because I think as you get older, you realize that success isn't a career.
Yeah.
You know, the American dream is not the goal.
Not an accomplishment.
Because there's no fulfillment in that.
Yeah.
And so it's like that doesn't change in generations either.
Right.
That it's like, man, I've been pursuing something that has no eternal value. Like, man, let's start having conversations that have eternal value.
Yeah.
You know, in light of eternity, man, who are you, right?
Yeah. What's your
And so,
character?
yeah.
Yeah. All of that. All right. Last question.
Woo!
Let's do it. Y'all are doing a great job.
Crazy.
You having fun, Jazmyn?
Yes.
Jasmine.
You're doing great.
Oh my gosh.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from friendships?
Yikes.
I know, it's a heavy hitter. It's the last question. Let's go.
Friendship.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from friendships?
You want to take the lead?
Sure, I
ahead,
got your
Michelle.
back. I'm going to say great and hard.
Ah.
No, yeah. What was the question? Hold on, say it again. It's warm.
Great and hard.
What are some of the biggest lessons
You
you've
first, Allie.
learned?
You first.
Me?
No, I'm just kidding.
I just answered. I can answer.
What are some of the biggest
lessons
lessons
you've learned
of
from
friendship?
friendship?
Man,
I've-
that it's beautiful,
Okay.
that it's hard,
Yep.
and that
Great and hard.
yeah, I mean, obviously, and this could be looked at as a cookie cutter answer, but I could tell you all the things that the human Michelle would say, and I mean, I'm always a human. I don't like turn into something else. That was a
good
weird
to
statement, but thinking about like Jesus and his disciples and the relationship that he lived with them, I think friendship at the table, like in a godly friendship, is so important, right? So like a friendship that is encompassed around Christ and speaking life and encouragement and unconditional love, forgiveness, just that lowered expectation of, you know, Jazmyn and I were talking about this yesterday, of the expectations we put on ourselves. A lot of times we put those in other people and then we're disappointed. And it's like, man, if I can't even live up to my own expectations, how can I expect other people to? And so, yeah, I think with friendships, as I get older, I've been saying that a lot. It's like, man, the come as you are, like this is, and what do you have to bring? I'm going to bring what I have to bring.
Yeah.
And if we mess up, you know, we forgive each other and we talk about it. And there are seasons, you know what I mean, where it's like, man, this friendship, the Lord brought this person for a season. But I think just, bringing what that person has to give and you bringing what you have to give. And that's it. You know what I mean? Not low expectations, but centered around godly things, I think a friendship turns out a different way, you know.
Yeah, that's huge.
But yeah.
It's life-changing to view people the way that the Lord views them.
I would say, wait, what was the question? I know the question, but like, how would I?
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from friendships?
The biggest lessons. I think that if your friendships aren't centered around God, I think that oftentimes it's not like a very good friendship. So because I go to a public school and I go to a church with kids that all go to a private school, so I have two groups of friends, and I find that I can be myself and I can talk about these hard things with my more God-centered relationships, and I could talk about my faith with them, and we go through similar experiences, and I still talk about my faith with more of my public school friends, but I feel like our relationships aren't the same. Like I'm not as, like, it's not really pouring into me. It's just kind of like, oh, we're friends, we talk, we laugh. But really in my God-centered relationship friendships, it's like, wow, like I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. We're walking through this together. Like I feel like it's so important to put God in the middle, because he's the best friend you're going to have, and he's teaching us both lessons. So I think that's really, really important to have that group of people that's just you can pour out your faith with, and you guys can just do a lot of fun things together.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can be more vulnerable with like your Christian friends?
I do. I think that. And just like more open, because we face like all my peers, we all face the same things. We face like loneliness, anxiety. And I think the perspective of having like, well, God's with us. He's always with us. And he's always going to be there for you is just like that perspective, and them telling me and reminding me is just more like, yes. And then it's like the people that are not really centered around Christ friendships are just like, oh yeah, well, we feel that too. Like it's just kind of like everyone feels like that.
Yeah.
You know? So it's very different. But.
Wow. You're wise. Thank you for sharing that. I've learned.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to hear what you.
Oh no.
I wanted to hear what you have learned. Sorry.
I have just learned that it's important to have real friendship, and I think that's rare in life. I think there's a lot of surface level friendships, but to have like actual deep friendships is just super rare. So I've just learned to value it. Yeah.
How do you feel like you get there with somebody, right? Because sometimes I'm like, man, I think this person is super deep. Like, I think they've got it, but they're not giving it to me. Like, right? They don't want to go there.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, man, I really wanted to be, like, close friends with you or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody...
I think it's going through something hard and being there for someone. For me, in life experiences, that has been like the game changer. Like, oh yeah, I thought we were close friends, but then we went through this.
Yeah, I went through a hard time.
I knew that they're a real one. Like, they're in my corner.
Yeah.
So I think that could be one thing that could help. Not that you have to go through something super hard with someone to get close to them, but that does help.
For sure.
That's or even just having like a real disagreement.
Yeah.
And then learning through that and becoming closer because of it. That's huge for friendship. I think that's how you get closer.
Yeah, it's definitely, I know a lot of people talk about, you know, man, they do something to make you mad and you're done. And you're just like, but then you got to start over.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It's like, man, work through it and forgive each other. And
Well, I've learned a lot about both of you and about millennials and Gen Z. And I think I'm learning along this process of just interviewing people about their different generations. I'm learning that we're more similar than we think. And obviously we see the world differently. We wear different clothes. We have different struggles. We grew up differently. We're learning differently. We have different viewpoints. We are very similar in the way that we interact with each other. And that's something that is like a common thread through humanity. And I love that no matter what generation we're in, no matter when we were born, if we're 88 or we're 8 years old, the Lord wants us. and there's purpose to our life, and that's a promise. And I love that no matter what generation we're in, Jesus can relate to all of us. We're all made in the image of God, worthy because of Jesus Christ alone. So thank you for joining me in this conversation about generations. Viewers, I have a question for you. I would love for you to join the conversation. So if you're watching on YouTube, write us in the comment section. We would love to hear your answer to this question. What is one way that we can be more like Christ when interacting with different generations? What do you guys say to that? What's your answer?
I'm going to say something that I am not the best at and that the Lord is continually growing me in. It's listen.
Yeah.
Listen more, talk less.
Yep.
And then just like hearing somebody's story. I think when you hear somebody's story, you're able to see a glimpse of the struggles and the things that they've dealt with in life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd say listen more and ask them their story.
What would you say, Jazmyn? How can you be more like Christ when interacting with different generations? There can be like some weird misconceptions or strange thoughts.
I would say show compassion. Kind of like the same thing. Like make sure you're listening and let them know that you care. You're learning too, and you care about what they have to say. And I think that it's really interesting, like listening and interacting with just someone older and wiser.
The ones that walked uphill both ways to school in 6 feet of snow.
Oh, yeah. That was not me, but yeah.
You gotta, listening to the story and learning from their life experiences. The world's pretty, it's a tough place. So let's not make it any tougher than it has to be, right?
Not on our account, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of More Than a Sunday. We can't wait to gather here again next time. We'll see you then.